Hey, we're just in time for killing of the cow. This is part of the fiesta is killing the cow, and it's just important to communicate clearly that this is not a sacrifice. This is food for the whole community. So kill this cow and make a bunch of food, and we're gonna get in on it.
Partieron con hacha y luego como cortan todo como fino. Voy a explicar el proceso en inglés. So, killing a cow. How does a cow go from to yummy? They eat old cows, tough meat. I just learned that today. Basically, what happens is, use my napkin / fork / food. Basically what happens is they buy a cow. We kill cows in our country when they're like a year, a little over a year old. It's kind of when we butcher steers. They like old cows because they're bigger. They don't have feedlots here or anything like that. I mean, they kind of do, but typically what happens is somebody will be raising a cow and they take it out in the mountains and it just grazes all day, every day. And, it takes 3 to 5 years before they're kind of big physically. Meat gets pretty tough because they're constantly climbing up and down these hills, and part of the year they're eating good grass, part of they're just eating scrub. Depends on where they're at. Here where we're at in our village, they got good grass year round, got a lot of moisture, but you get out of town a little ways and it gets pretty dry and not a whole lot of good feed, so I imagine they can get pretty tough. Just depends where the cow comes from. But anyway, so you start with like a 5-year-old cow, and like 10 guys like rope the thing up, and they go up from underneath with a long skinny knife and pierce the heart up kind of under the front leg and kill it that way. Then they'll bleed it out and prepare a food with the blood. It's kind of like it comes like a gelatin. I've never eaten it. I'm okay with that. And then they skin it. They'll tie up the legs and lay it on the ground, and they'll chop a certain kind of tree branches off, and they use the leaves as basically like a ground tarp. And they lay all the leaves out, and then they skin it from one side over, down the middle, other side back, and then you got the hide as kind of like your base over top of the leaves, and then they separate all the meat, and it's pretty rough. They use an axe and a machete and just hack at the bone, and it gets all chunky and chippy. Where they separate things, they don't really go over the joints. They just kind of hack it apart, and they'll split the brisket with the axe, and they split the backbone. They like to have the meat attached to the backbone in the soup because they like the flavor. And so a lot of times what they'll do is they'll take that hatchet and they'll split the backbone like long ways, vertically all the way down, and lay it open, and then they'll have that bone marrow attached to the meat, and they'll cut that up pieces for the soup. And then they just kind of get all the big chunks off that they can and bring it over here to a table, and then they call it cecina, but they don't do cuts, like they don't do strips and prime ribs and tenderloins. They don't cut steaks. They just take all the meat and they slice it as thin as they can, and they go across and flip it and skin it back, and they just try and make as much strips as they can, about this thick. And that'll be my job today. I'll start just doing the final cuts. And then they hang it and salt it and dry it. So today is Tuesday, and they'll salt it and dry it in the sun all day today, all day tomorrow, and then they'll make soup out of it for Thursday.
These guys don't waste anything, man. They just finished gutting the cow, and what they'll do now is they'll take all the guts, they'll put them in the back of the truck, and they're going to drive to a special place down the river where the water's really clean, and they'll back the truck right into the river, and they'll clean out all the intestines and the stomach and everything and wash it really good and bring it up and prepare it as food in the soup.